So, hello everyone. We'll start the new topic about NFTs. I guess that you have already heard about NFTs and you know what are the non-fungible tokens. So basically, we'll give you some insights about the non-fungible token economics, what's currently happening with blockchain gaming, with art, and globally with this new generation of tokens. And so let's start with a little question. Who there knows what is an NFT? Please? Okay, globally, half of the room, okay. So let's start with some basics. So what are non-fungible tokens? The definition of non-fungible is that it's basically a token that can be replaced or exchanged by another one with globally the same value and the same characteristics. And I haven't introduced myself, so I'm Gauthier Zuppinger. And I work for nonfungible.com. Basically what we do is that we gather all the interactions and trades about NFTs. So we are basically a data platform, and we gather everything related to NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. So the main difference between a fungible and a non-fungible token, I'm sorry for the one who already know what it is and how it works, but a fungible token is basically an ERC20, and a non-fungible is an ERC 721. So the ERC20 is mostly defined by value and the address of the owner. A non-fungible token can be different kind of things. It can be a game asset, it can be an art asset, and dozens of different things, like IDs, degrees, and other things stored on the blockchain. A non-fungible token can be defined by several metadatas, like the color, the name, the level, the strength, and other things related to its use in the game or in the project. And the value of these assets is defined mostly by the use in the project. There, it's defined mostly by its metadatas. So, let's have a look at figures. Non-fungible tokens market cap in 2019 has been estimated at about 210 millions. And to be honest, that's pretty crazy, because the ERC 721 standard has been set in August 2017. So only 2 years after, we have more than 200 millions of value created from scratch, which is pretty crazy. It's mostly driven by gaming, but we'll see the other areas of value. Our forecast for 2020 is at about 315 millions. It's only a forecast, and just for information, it's based on about 800 projects on the Ethereum blockchain. It's only based on the ERC 721, not the ERC 1155, the engine token, for the technical ones. And for your information, there are also NFTs on EOS, Neo, Tron, and other blockchains. So it's only a part of the whole NFT market. What about the players? It's interesting to notice that between 2017 and 2018, globally, it rose. It was really crazy in 2018. Some projects like CryptoKitties definitely drive the growth. And in 2019, last year, the growth was really, really tiny. Our explanation for that is that most of the players of the active addresses in 2018 were flippers. Most of the people, not all of them, but most of them were traders. And they were not there to play with the assets or to enjoy the game, but just to own the asset and make money, which is definitely not the main use case of NFTs. So what happened in 2019 is that these guys, these traders, just realized that, okay, it's funny, but you can't make money just like that with NFTs. And a new generation of users arrived, like real gamers, that are there to enjoy the game, to learn what they can do, and that are really focused on the use case. So it's not a crazy growth, but compared to the USD trade, oh, that's not the one, okay. About whales. The 10 biggest whales in 2019 spent more than 1 million. 1.4 million was spent by only 10 people. Compared to the crypto market, that's nothing. It's really nothing to, in comparison. And honestly, we think that it's a good thing that people are not just spending millions and millions just to own assets, but are now focused on the use case. So, about USD traded. It's the only metric that decreased between 2018 and 2019. It moved from 1.55 million to 1.52. And the thing is that in 2018, you had some really crazy hot potato games, Ponzi's, sorry for them, but like crypto countries, crypto celebrities, that generated something like, I don't remember, dozens of millions. And in 2019, you had some pre-sales, pretty big pre-sales, but we are not this kind of projects just generating huge volume of USD. So basically, these people just rushing in the NFT space to buy assets, just, I say, moved away or just hodling the assets. And now people are playing, they are having interactions with the assets, and not only trading. So, what is driving the growth in the non-fungible space? It's not a surprise that collectibles in 2018 were definitely the biggest part of the industry, with more than 1.5 million traded. In 2019, it's only 8 million. So this decrease, I'd say, is really interesting because in comparison, you have the art ecosystem that are more than doubled in a year. That's globally the same for the TCG and the TCG only. So the figures we've seen on the previous slide about the global USD traded has to be read with these figures about the different typology of projects. Yep, that's it. So, from the beginning, we are talking about the trade, about the economics of these NFTs. But the main point about NFTs is not, as I said, about just trading them and making money with them, but about, is the community active? Are the people, the players enjoying the game, the real experience behind the game? And we have built a non-fungible metric that we call the NFT IDs. This kind of map is based on several KPIs that give a global overview of the health of a project. So what we have there is the value of the asset, volume of trades, and community and volume of interactions. This kind of projects are really, really active in terms of market. For example, if you take Decentraland, have you ever heard about Decentraland? Do you know it? Yep. Okay, some of them. Decentraland is extremely active in terms of market. People are just trading the land every day. A land is worth about 1,000 USD. That's pretty crazy. But actually, people are not playing a lot with Decentraland right now. So on the other end, you have projects like, I'd say, My Crypto Heroes or others, where the community is extremely active, is huge. There are something like 4,000 people playing My Crypto Heroes every week, which is huge for the blockchain gaming ecosystem. And these kind of projects have these kind of NFT ideas. So the people interact a lot with the smart contracts. The community retention is huge. Globally, it means that people play the game really often. And the size of the community is huge as well. So about 4,000 for My Crypto Heroes. So this metric gives us a really, really interesting vision of what's happening. More and more we see projects with this kind of green ideas, really focused on the retention of the community, of the interaction with them, and not only on just selling assets. It's obvious that the projects have to sell their assets first to generate revenues and to ensure their business model. But in a second step, we realize that when the asset has been bought, but no one uses it, the project has to really think about its future and about the retention of its community. That's it. So this was a global preview of the non-fungible report we've built with our team. It's a 60 pages report with something like 25 different metrics about what's happening in the non-fungible tokens ecosystem. If you have any question, of course, feel free to ask. You should have a little card with a link to download the report. And I hope it has been interesting for you to have these little figures about what's happening in the non-fungible and blockchain gaming ecosystem. So if you have any question, feel free.
Thank you for the presentation. Where do you see the future of NFT more in? Do you think it will find a real use case in more native applications, or will have an impact on existing assets, real-world assets?
I think the future of NFTs will be definitely driven by gaming in the next few years. We had a really good example with Axie Infinity. We have a founder of Axie Infinity in the room. And the point is that gaming is a really, really good use case for gaming is a good use case for NFTs, because your game character can really be owned. There is a real question of true ownership on the blockchain. The gaming experience is really easy to handle with blockchain, and I think in something like maybe 10 years, we'll see some other use cases with real-world assets, like building tokenizations. And one of the most interesting use cases to me is about IDs, degrees, and real estate ownership, not in our countries, but in developing countries who don't have this kind of official registration of the real estate, of the IDs and everything. So I think an NFT can be a really good vehicle for this kind of use cases in developing countries.
How do you measure the value of NFTs? You were mentioning some numbers at the start. If I try to sell my game character for $15 million on OpenSea, does that inflate your number by 15 million?
Basically, there are two things. NFTs are definitely a target for speculation. So the price people ask for an asset don't define its price, its value. The value is definitely defined by the amount people are ready to pay for it. If tomorrow people are ready to pay 1 million for your assets, okay, that's it. It's worth 1 million. But we, on the figures you have there, we have taken attention to remove all the wash trading and all the suspicious sales. There are some really, really weird sales during 2019. So the value is basically defined by what people pay for it. Oh, sorry?
You count only things that were sold, not
Yep.
things that were up for sale.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you for your intervention. It was very interesting. You kind of expect a very kind of positive 2020 according to the graph you showed to us, right? You forecast growth in the NFT market. Can you explain us a little bit more about the kind of metrics you've used to predict that?
Yep. To be completely honest, it's a fully automated formula based on all the figures we have gathered between 2017 and 2019. And the point is that the NFT ecosystem has learned from its mistake from 2018 and from its really beginning. I think that 2018 was a year of testing and learning. Now that this craze of not ICOs but potato games and Ponzi's, I guess is over. Now we are facing a way healthier ecosystem. So the trend we have identified and the forecast are based on this really deep dynamic of the ecosystem about just getting mature, getting healthier, and actually people are really investing in the games in terms of cash and in terms of time and energy. So yeah, basically we are pretty confident for the next coming years.
And just a question regarding your business model. How do you make money, or how do you?
That's a good question.
What's your positioning, you know, in the industry?
At nonfungible.com, basically what we do is that, as I said, we gather all the information of the trades about the NFT ecosystem. So if you are a VC and you want to invest in a project, you are on a due diligence process, you want to know exactly what's happening in the TCG ecosystem on blockchain, or you want to know if this project has really an active community. No one expects us can provide this kind of information. We provide monthly reports to all the projects we list. Of course, we advertise, as always. And the last thing is that in the near future, we are about to provide some B2C features to the end users. It can be to a regular gamer that just want to buy an asset at a fair price, or just to flippers that just want to be extremely active on the market and be able to auto-purchase assets. So this is what we do.
Hi. So how do you value or judge the value of a community? I mean, you had the scorecard. I think that's particularly interesting in the space where there's been some abuse. So yeah.
So how to value a community? That's a really good question. We don't really value the community in itself. What we value is some metrics about the community. I'd say the size of the community, which can be pretty easily calculated. One of the really interesting metric for us is the retention rate. We calculate that on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, and we know if the community plays your game only once a week, once a month, once a year, and actually people are not playing the game extremely often. Some projects like blockchain QTs, Axie Infinity, and CryptoKitties have a really good retention rate, but most of the time people play an NFT game something like once a month, something like that. So it's not our role to define the value of a community, but we can give you insights about its commitment in your game.
Are you familiar with any NFT projects where you can earn money from owning an NFT without having to sell it?
Without what? Sorry.
Without having to sell it.
Oh, yep. There are some idle games like Mega Cryptopolis, where you can just purchase the asset, and then there is a logic of influence between the different parcels. It's some kind of SimCity game, and when you own an asset or land on a really cool place and people build around your place, you get a little piece of what you've invested. And that's a good question, because what is interesting about NFTs and blockchain gaming is that it's not only about just owning. The true ownership thing is not a topic for all the gamers, but the original and innovative business model that NFTs allow is extremely interesting. And Mega Cryptopolis is an example of that. Another question right there.
Just to follow up on that question and the possibilities, there's been some exploration in terms of how to mix DeFi into NFTs. One way this is being done is actually infusing an NFT with Chai, which is DAI with the savings rate already built in. And that NFT actually has a set base value and then starts to automatically earn interest as well, which is pretty fascinating in terms of what that can mean as like a base price for an NFT beyond a market speculative premium, for instance.
Definitely, I agree. Yeah, no, just a little point about that. That's personal thought, but I really think that the speculation hurt the NFT and blockchain gaming ecosystem. Because historically, people that just jumped into the blockchain gaming space at the really beginning were not gamers, were people from the crypto space that were used to purchase and trade crypto assets. And NFTs actually are some kind of crypto assets, but the use case is different. So people just jumping into the space and saying, okay, I can make money with that. It's like, okay, guys, it's not the point. You can make money, but if a regular gamer just jump in the game and see that the standard asset is something like 5 Ether, he won't buy it and he will move. So, are we done? Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Celui, c'est l'ordi de la salle. Le PC, le poser